Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody, both in our live audience and people at home watching. I'd like to give a few thank yous first before I introduce our ensemble here. I would like to thank Bronxnet for helping us make this possible, the music department, and the Multimedia Center, in particular Steve Buonanotte, and all the staff here with the camera help and setup. It's been great. Al Castro also helped a great deal, and my colleague Dave Font-Navarrete of the music department. My name is Professor David Clayman of the music department at Lehman College, and we're here to welcome this ensemble known as Chaar Yaar. They're here from New Delhi, India, and they'll be playing about a 1-hour program for us, and we'll hopefully have some questions, time for questions at the end. I'll tell you a little bit about them. The name of the ensemble is Chaar Yaar, and that means roughly, Char means four, and Yaar is like friendship, but I learned today that it actually means something quite a bit more. It's more like spiritual friendship, spiritual closeness. And the interesting thing about the ensemble is we have 4 people from India of 4 different religions, 4 different geographical areas, 4 different languages, and different musical backgrounds as well. And they're all coming together to make music as one. And I think that's a very important message these days, both in India and in the United States, where we have very diverse countries, and it's a challenge to say that we are one people, that we are not separate, that we have things in common, that we can work together, and that we can make beautiful music and live together peacefully. And I think that may be the main message of this group. And I'm going to introduce the ensemble going from my left to right very briefly, and they may speak a little bit. They can speak more articulately than I can about what they do. On the left is Mr. Pritam Ghoshal, who plays the sarod, which I had the pleasure of studying with him briefly in New Delhi. He was the first person I met there, and through him I met the other members of the group. And behind me is Dr. Madan Gopal Singh. He's the leader of the group, and he is a poet and a singer. Many of the melodies you hear were composed by himself, and yet you will also hear poems dating back several hundred years by poets such as Rumi, and you might even hear a Beatles lyric or some other modern songs with connections, poetic connections that are that they will make clear. And to my right is Deepak Castellino on guitar. He plays in a classical style, also some jazz and pop. And he's been with, I think, 26 years, you said.
Right.
They go, he and Dr. Madan Gopal Singh go back many, many years. And then to my right is Mr. Amjad Khan on tabla, and he's going to be contributing that very beautiful drum sound, which is unlike any other. And so I think that I think we should just get started. I think they have a program worked out, and I want to thank everybody. Welcome.
Thank you, David. We open our presentation this evening, friends, with what we call Ode to Cosmos. This is a beautiful poem written by one of our gurus, one of our big teachers and savants in the late 15th, early 16th century. And this happens to be his 550th year of birth as well. So this is our humble tribute. And we begin with this at the very outset. गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने तारका मंडल जनक मोती तारका मंडल जनक मोती गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे सगल बन बुलंद ज्योति सगल बन बुलंद ज्योति गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने कैसी आरती होवे कैसी आरती होवे कैसी आरती होए पव खंडना तेरी आरती अनगता शब्द भजंत वेदे अनगता शब्द भजंत वेदे गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने तारका मंडल जनक मोती गगन में थोर रव चंद दीपक बने सहस तव नैन नन नैन है तो है गाँव सहस मूरत नन एक तो ही सहस पद विमल ननयेक पद गंध बिन सहस तव गंध इव चलत मोही सब ज्योत ज्योत सब ज्योत ज्योत सोय दिस दे चानन सब चानन होय दिस दे चानन सब चानन होय गुर साखी जोत परगट होय ज्योतिष पावै सो आरती होय हरि चरण कमल हरि चरण कमल मकरंद लोभित मनो अनदिनो बोहि आहि व्यास कृपा कर दे नानक कृपा कर दे नानक सारंग को हो जाते तेरे नाय वासा बन तारका मंडल जनक मोदे गगन में ढालर चंद दीपक बन तारका मंडल जनक मोदे धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे जगल बन राय बुलंद जोधे धूप मलयान लो पवन चवरों करे जगल बन राय बुलंद जोधे गगन में ढोल चंद दीपक बन कैसी आरती होए कैसी आरती होए कैसी आरती होए भगना तेरे अनहता शब्द वाजंग भेदे अनहता Janakamote, Tarika Mandala, Janakamote, Gaganame Tara, Gaganame Tara, So this was a form which is known as Arti in my religion, which is a kind of an invocation, a benediction. But this is all about the cosmos. It's all about ecology. There is no religion in this, as a matter of fact. The second number that we want to present is are we presenting? Okay. This is this composition goes back. This poem goes back to the mid 13th century, or the late 13th century, in fact. And it's by one of the pioneers of Indian classical music, Hazrat Amir Khusro. Also a great Sufi, a great traveler, traveling all the time. He was half Turkic and half Indian. He wrote bulk of his poetry in Persian and also in Hindi. So this is about a transgressive woman who says, I went out and spent the night with my beloved, and in the morning I feel blessed and I don't care what the world thinks. That's one kind of Sufism. मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाए रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाए रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना। करनार गवार कहे तो करे, मैं तो पिया से नैना। खुसरो निजाम के बल बल जई हैं, खुसरो निजाम के बल बल जई हैं, मैं तो अनबोल चेरी कहाया रे, मैं तो हृदय के बीच समाया रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाया रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाए रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाए रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना लड़ाए रे, मैं तो पिया से नैना। So this is a short poem by Hazrat Amir Khusro. He had also composed this poem, but we have used our own composition, which is close to this raga called the Raga of the Mountains, Pahadi, which is a deviation from his composition majorly. We would like finally to do what is known as a street Sufi poem, very popular in India. And in this poem, there is a tribute being paid to a Sufi saint who had come to India in the 12th century, and he decided to stay back in India. He had come from Iraq via Afghanistan, and he was immediately acclaimed as the reincarnation of a Hindu saint and a linguist. So he was equally venerated by the Hindus and the Muslims, and this is a poem which is about this Muslim Sufi saint and also about the Hindu river god. There are lots of knots that we'll be using this. Knots is a very, very common and very integral feature of Sufi music, in which we use other poems in order to elucidate the central point. This is about मेरा दर्द विछोड़े दा हाल तू आ तू है मेरे मुर्शद वाला चित भोला तित लाल 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 लाल
लाली मेरे लाल की जित देखूं तित लाल 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 और लाली देखन में गई और मैं भी हो गई लाल 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 मेरी पत रखियो बला झूले लालण हो लाल लाल मेरी पत रखियो बला झूले लालण सिंधड़ी दो सेहे बण दो सफी शाबाज कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली शाबाज कलंदर अली मेरे मन दे अंदर झूले लाल कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर झूले लाल कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर अली शाबाज कलंदर झूले लाल कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त 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 कलंदर मस्त कलंदर हो कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त कलंदर कलंदर मस्त 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 झूले लाल 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 लाल अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार हाजी ख्वाजा कुतुब फरीद हाजी ख्वाजा कुतुब फरीद हाजी मोहम्मद चार यार हाजी ख्वाजा कुतुब फरीद अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार अल्लाह मोहम्मद चार यार हाजी ख्वाजा कुतुब फरीद हाजी ख्वाजा कुतुब फरीद Muinuddin Khwaja, Muinuddin Khwaja, Muinuddin, Muinuddin. दूसरा चराग महरौली वाले कुतुबुद्दीन काकी, कुतुबुद्दीन काकी, कुतुबुद्दीन काकी, कुतुबुद्दीन, कुतुबुद्दीन काकी, कुतुबुद्दीन काकी, कुतुबुद्दीन। तीसरा चराग पंजाब दे पाक पटन वाले मेरे बाबा फरीद बाबा, ओ फरीद बाबा, ओ फरीद बाबा, ओ फरीदुद्दीन बाबा, फरीदुद्दीन बाबा, ओ चौथा चराग दिल्ली वाले हजरत निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, हो निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, निजामुद्दीन औलिया। बल बल जई है तोरे निजाम, रंग सुरंग तोरे द्वारे खेले, खेलन आई फल्क जमा, निजामुद्दीन औलिया, 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 चार चराग तेरे बलड़ बने, पांच चराग तेरे बलड़ बने, पंजवा में बालड़ आइयां बला झूले लालड़, पंजवा, पंजवा में बालड़ आइयां बला झूले लालड़, सिद्धड़ी दो सेहबड़ दो सब शाबाश कलंदर, हक 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 दमादम मस्त कलंदर, अली शाबाश कलंदर, ओ झूले लाल कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर लाल कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, अली शाबाश कलंदर, ओ झूले लाल कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, कलंदर मस्त मस्त मस्त, कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, हो कलंदर मस्त कलंदर, 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 कलंदर
So this was the street Sufi version that people create their own sort of Sufi music, which is non-canonical. The other two that you heard were canonical compositions. And if you have any questions now, we will be more than happy to answer.
Can we apply?
Actually, I'm going to do kind of a Mike Douglas show, if anybody remembers that kind of routine. If you have a question, just raise your hand. I'll come over with the microphone. Osceola, have you got a question?
I do.
Just wait till I get here, otherwise the mic doesn't work.
Okay, there are two questions. The first question is, he was trying to explain to me the basic beat is not a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very particular. And my second question is, I couldn't see the strings. I was wondering if some were inside the neck as well as on top of the neck. But now I can see they're all on top. So that's my question. So my question is the beat, the basic beat of this music. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4. But what is the basic beat of your rhythm?
It was a 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was.
1, 2, 3, 4. Dama dam. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2,
Not this
3,
one, but there
4.
But the
another-
earlier
other
one had
earlier one
7.
was 7.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3,
3,
1, 2, 3, 4. 7 beats.
So when you were patting your feet, it wasn't quite.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Feel free, don't be shy. Well, I have one, actually. I don't know where I should stand. Okay, I'll stand here. My question is, obviously you work together as musicians, and the compositions come together with all of you working together, I can tell. And so I'm wondering, maybe it's different from each composition, but what is the process? How does the composition start? How does it develop? How does it get completed?
That's a bit dicey because that will reveal many secrets about the group because they're all busy musicians. So none of them, in fact, is only doing Chaar Yaar, except me. So I have all the time, unlike the other three. They are independently doing a lot of music elsewhere. The Chaar Yaar is not the only group that they are playing with. So, since I am the least used member of Chaar Yaar, I keep sitting home and I'm leading a life of semi-retirement. So I sit at home, I read a lot of poetry, and I select the poetry that I want to sing. And then I see whether there are certain compositions made by earlier maestros. And then I also try to see in what way I can change them. Changing is important because we are living through very difficult and tough times all over the world. Whether we are dealing with questions of ecology, whether we are dealing with questions of tolerance, we are dealing with questions of sharing, with dealing with questions of reaching out. So all these are very important sort of issues. And sometimes, in fact, more often than not, I have to recompose what has been given to me. Because what existed earlier was very much within the format of conventional classical music, very beautiful. But if I have to address school-going children, then I have to rethink the entire compositional structure. And not that I completely do away with the classical registers. I keep those classical registers in mind, but I do bring in a lot of my own anxiety, and I put that anxiety into those compositions.
Thank you. Thank you.
But now to come to the other three. So whenever we meet, this melody is by itself not complete. What is happening is there are riffs created by them. For instance, there is an 18th century love legend that we have recreated and we have sung all over the world. Many compositions. There is the riff that he created. He's from Bengal and he's responding to a Punjabi love legend. And I asked him to just 30 seconds of that riff, if you could. Now, this basic melody doesn't go with this riff in my culture. But what we have done is we have transgressed that. So there is a barrier that we've crossed with this riff. He comes from Bengal and he is now responding to a love legend in Punjab, which is separated by 2,000 miles almost. And then, of course, there is this gentleman who has his parental origins in South India, though he himself has stayed all his life in Delhi. But there is a way in which he responds. His training is in Western classical, and his response is just amazing. There was one number that we did for the Clouds, the Cotton song. Just, I'll tell you, what happens. This is in 7 and 6. Da 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 na 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 na. Da 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 la da na na. Da 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 na da na na. Da 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 la da na na. Da da na da da na da na da da na da na na da da na da da na da na da 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 da. So you'll see that melody by itself is ineffective if there are not these beautiful riffs and these chords and again riffs, and of course going from 7 to 6 and then coming back to 7 is not always the easiest thing to do. Of course, we have a maestro, so we don't have that kind of problem. Earlier, we used to play with another tabla player, and he would always make a mess. He would always, so the 7/6. So, when they get together, because I'm the only one in this group who has no training in music. Zero training. I was teaching English literature in the University of Delhi, and I taught literature and I taught film studies. And these people have formidable classical music training, and this has really worked very well for me because I learnt a lot from them. So I hope this answers the question.
That helps a great deal. Thank you. Anybody else? Don't be shy. There's your,
the
here's
back
your
there.
chance. I'll wait till I come here.
Hi. So my question is, I know that you guys have been performing together, for instance, you two for 26 years. Do you find that as time has gone on, that your process has changed? That, for instance, maybe the way you would have performed in certain regions has changed, let's say, from 10 years ago to now?
I didn't get the question. I didn't answer.
As time has gone on?
Yes, as time has gone on, has your process changed?
Well, there's a lot of crossover music that we do. Globally, I mean, we'll be responding to, let's say, John Lennon or Leonard Cohen or Simon Garfunkel or likewise, Bob Dylan. Or we will be responding to poetry from Europe like Baudelaire or Lorca or Bertolt Brecht and so on and so forth. So, and Arabic poetry, Mahmoud Darwish and so on and so forth, and Rumi. So, there is a lot of sort of travel, and we have traveled a lot. We have actually played a lot. I mean, one of the musicians that we played with is sitting right here, a brilliant musician from we met him first in Delhi, and then we visited him in Woodstock, and we've recorded together. In Iran, for instance, I have traveled together with Shahram Nazeri. There were some Pakistani musicians with whom I played. There were, there is an American neo jazz musician, Theo Blackman. We played with him, and then there is this band called Bang on a Can, New York-based band. We have played with them extensively. So these travels have already opened up very new sort of vistas, and we have created a lot of new stuff. For instance, when we do Leonard Cohen, which is the song that we do? Hallelujah. How do we do that? Just 2 lines, and then I'll tell you what we do with that.
Said there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? Goes like this: the 4th, the 5th, the minor 3rd, the major lift. A baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Now I bring in sort of, Sufi verses from Punjab.
ये तन मेरा चश्मा होवे ते मैं मुर्शद वेख न रजां लख लख चश्मा ते मैं एक खोला एक कच्चा
So we can bring hallelujah and who together, and we do that. And obviously the idea is to underscore the disunity that we have created, which is a false disunity across cultures. And that is what we do all the time. In fact, all these Sufi verses that we have reclaimed today, we always underline the fact that these verses are, yes, deeply spiritual in nature, but they are also deeply political.
Okay, I think that's about all we've got time for today. I wish we had time for more questions, but I think we've got a very good idea of the music and the ideas behind the music, and I want to, again, to thank everybody for coming, both in the live audience and out there on film, and especially Chaar Yaar. Thank you so much. They've been here all day giving so many wonderful presentations and music and beautiful ideas. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody.